what's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. So today is me and my co-host for the podcast, Kelly,
Hello.
Chef Kelly. And today we are going to go over the topic of why are chefs leaving the restaurant business. And I have my opinion. I know Kelly, she'll have her opinion. I think there was going to be a lot of common ground and maybe some things that are going to be unique to each of us. So we're going to reference about three internet articles, and we're going to go over some of the reasons, and we're going to explain our reasons why that makes sense or why it doesn't make sense. So, yeah, let's get into it. All right, so today's first article is by CNN Business, and it's 3 ways why COVID changed the restaurant business. So this is just kind of a warm-up of, it's really going to give a little bit of more of a reason or explanation when we get to some of the reasons why chefs are leaving. And this was apparently done by Chef Bobby Flay, which, you know, I'm not a really, he's a chef. He's done his job. He has restaurants. So let's just go over these 3 reasons that I guess came out from these interviews. So one is dining rooms are shrinking or disappearing. And this was asked to a chef, Esther Choi's Korean restaurant in Manhattan. Mock Bar had a counter seats for 20 people, and now those seats are gone. And I'm pretty sure they have their reason for taking or getting rid of that. I mean, as we all know, a lot of the quick food has been growing. It's just been during the pandemic, a lot of that just kind of grew. That's all it was, really. It's not even, it grew. That's what a lot of the restaurants had to accommodate. You know, takeout was huge, and takeout is still very big now, way bigger than what it ever was I could remember. And we're going to get into that also. But a lot of places are just getting smaller dining rooms. Before, you know, restaurants were like, get a big dining room and this, but now they're basically shrinking the footprint of their space. People are just doing a lot of takeout. Takeout seems to be, I'm going to just repeat myself, but takeout seems to be way more popular. I mean, I guess it's a generational thing. It could be the last couple of years thing, because it was only a couple of years ago, takeout was nothing like what it is now.
Well, dining in is expensive too.
Yes, that is true. So I guess that's a way to.
And you have taxes, and then you gotta leave your 18% tip.
True.
Of your bill, so that's kind of high.
Yeah. So it does sound like it's more expensive.
And then the service may not be that good, and you have to leave that 18% or 15%, whatever you want to leave. But you gotta leave something, right?
Yeah, that is
people,
the consensus.
Yeah, they have no interest in doing that.
Yeah, I do agree that that's a big driving factor.
And the prices went up in the restaurant because of COVID too. So
yes, yeah, prices did go up, and for the most part, they have stayed up. So yeah,
yes,
and it sucks because not only there's a couple of reasons that have contributed to the prices going up that happened during COVID, and some stuff are not necessarily correlated to COVID, but yeah, there's some stuff that happened around the same time.
Everything is expensive. I
yes.
think some people just need something to eat, so they don't need all that extra stuff. Go out to dinner, get dressed up. Just want to grab something to eat, just to eat, because they don't feel like cooking, because they had a hard day at work, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so that is true. A lot of restaurants are pushing the other options instead of dining in at the restaurant. And I think I'm going to throw that out there too. I think a lot of it is these apps. They just blew up during the pandemic. They really did. They just blew up. Like, for example, Uber. Before the pandemic, I used to know. I've seen the article, and I don't even know if they're making money now, but they were in their way out. Uber was in their way out before the pandemic. The pandemic was a life-saving disaster for these
Yeah.
these
'Cause I
freaking
tried one or two during COVID that
Yeah.
I don't think I would have ever tried.
Yeah, well, think about it. During the pandemic, you started hearing about a bunch of other ones that they were just really small. Like Uber was always the main one, and DoorDash and all those, they were fairly small, but now they're all pretty big. And even ones that you never heard of before, now you hear about them. So yeah, it definitely, habits for going out to a restaurant have changed. They're just not nowhere near what it used to be. So anything else to say with that one? I think it's going to come back up anyway, but delivery is here to stay. Again, this is kind of going in a pattern, yeah. And I have a lot to say with the delivery is here to stay. I mean, yeah. I mean, DoorDash, Uber, these as much. And one of the other thing I was going to piggyback, you said, it's expensive to go dining in, but these to-go stuff is not very cheap either.
No, but they have coupons. People figure out ways where they can kind of work the system there.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
It's not.
It's a lot easier
nowhere
to
close to the 18% tip.
True, that is true. Yeah, that they're also not getting the whole experience. I think
I'd rather pick up my own food than have it delivered.
Yeah, I would prefer to pick it up. I think Uber and DoorDash, all these companies, they're just a major ripoff. Yeah. I mean, by the time you end up kind of paying it, it's like I might as well just eating at the restaurant.
Yeah, then you hear all these stories, people eating food and
Oh yeah, then you have a lot of the delivery people that there's a bunch of them that, or maybe not a bunch of them, but there is the ones that they actually have like social media.
Well, then you can see where they are driving at with your food, and you're like confused because they're taking forever to get here, and you're like, where are they going?
Yeah, I'm never been a fan of these, but they're here. You know what? They are here to stay for now. Let's just say that for now they're here to stay because
it's convenient.
It's the convenience, and definitely the newer generation that been growing up around this time. And I don't mean it in a bad way. This is what they know, so this is what they use. A lot of the people that have, they came into age, finishing high school, and then the pandemic happened and all this stuff, and they were working. They weren't going out to restaurants. They were for like 5 years, basically, got used to using these platforms. So, it's a whole new generation just kind of got.
Yeah, they mastered it. So they know you got to put pictures there and all this stuff to get people's attention, and that's what they do. They go on their iPhones and like, oh, this dish looks good. Let's get this, and done. Yeah. Click, paid.
Exactly. And it goes with the whole. If it's in the phone, it's gonna get used because that's kind of what a lot of people are on their phones all day. If they can get done in their phone, it's a better chance of stuff actually getting done. Too many jobs, too few workers. And yes, I do. Yeah, a lot of people left the business. So this is like a little bit of a no-brainer. During the pandemic, a lot of cities just closed down, and restaurants and, movie theaters and places like that were very...
Even customers noticed that too. That's how bad it was.
Customers noticed what?
That it's too few workers, like service is slower. I think they posted signs too, some places like, sorry for the inconvenience, we're short staffed, and you see that a lot. Or we went to eat one place and they were like, the food's gonna come out as it comes out. Yeah.
They weren't shy to let you know that they bend the rules. Like we went to eat and it was just, it's gonna come out as it's ready. It was like, okay. Yeah, I guess that's. I guess that's tapas style in a sense, but it was not a tapas restaurant.
Yeah, it was like entrees we were ordering.
Yeah, so you might get your entree 10 minutes before the other person. It was just things were not functioning the way they were supposed to. There was not enough people. People kind of accepted it. Right now, people are not accepting that there's not enough people. But there is a shortage still going on. I think a lot of people just left the business and found less stressful jobs, a little easier jobs, and no matter the amount of money they just don't want to come back.
Well, yeah,
it's what it is.
This gave, I guess, a lot of people in the industry opportunity to look for other jobs, and they probably wouldn't have done it if it never COVID never happened.
You say opportunity, I say forced, because
because
they had literally
people
the job was
about it, but they just don't do it.
Yeah.
So
in that sense, it was an opportunity.
So now they're like, well, since I have this time on my hand, let me just do X, Y, and Z now.
Yeah, and look, I'm not taking anything away from this restaurant business. It is not easy. It's stressful. It is stressful. It's all that people say, and sometimes it could be even worse depending where you're at. There is those good jobs out there, but yeah, there is many jobs that is just, I'm a good example of being burnt out at one point in time. I'm pretty sure most people had a point in time in this business that were either burnt out and worked through it, or got burnt out and left and then came back, or whatever. But burning out in this business is very real. It's just, it is what it is. I tell that to everybody. You really gotta want to be in this business. If you are moving up in this business and taking more responsibility and doing more, but it's not like your passion or anything, the burnout is gonna come.
Right,
it's just a matter of time.
That saying they have, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen.
Yeah, that old saying, which is a lot of truth to that. Yeah, the stress is gonna get to you if you can't take the stress in this business, and it's a little bit more than stress. You got people don't understand, even though in the kitchen, like I'm going to talk about the kitchen, of course, but in the kitchen, even though you're not dealing with the customers directly, you're dealing with the customers. The customer's request, the customer dealing with the server, the front of the house, it gets pushed towards the back of the house. So they feel a little bit different. You're not getting it firsthand, but you're still getting that second hand. Plus, you're getting all the stress from, maybe the server is dealing with one, their tables. The kitchen is dealing with the whole restaurant. It's different levels of stress, different types of stress, but it's stress nevertheless. So yeah, it is what it is. This is the things that have changed, or I guess that have increased. That's what I would say. A little bit of this has increased during those years. These last couple of years, it hasn't been that long. So we're gonna give you another article. I'm gonna give you another article that I looked at. This is a little bit more generic. So this is by MASH, which is more of an internet media. And they give 12 reasons why chefs are leaving the kitchen for good. And as someone has left the kitchen for a little bit of time and came back. And one of the reasons I came back was to open up my restaurant. And, you can't really pick the timing when things happen, when that happened and all that. But that was that situation. Let's go over these 12 reasons. Sunday brunch. I think this is funny because I've actually done a video before. I don't even know if I did a video. I think before I even had my YouTube, I remember saying a note somewhere at night. I just said I hate Sunday brunch, and people don't understand. If you go out to eat Sunday brunch, you might love brunch, but working in the kitchen, I hate brunch. I do.
I don't know.
I know
I can't because baking and pastry is different. So it's calm back there in my kitchen.
Yeah,
on my side, it's calm.
Sunday brunch, and it's not even Sunday brunch. It's just brunch in general. A lot of it has to do, depending what type of restaurant you have. It's definitely way more stressful in a restaurant that doesn't serve brunch all week, and then on Sunday they serve brunch. So basically, your whole kitchen is used to serving dinner, lunch, whatever their menu is, and then you go to this day, it's gonna be busy, and then you have a whole new menu, a whole new prep, and you had no practice for the whole week. The whole week you've been practicing another menu. It sucks. Yeah. It's mayhem. And then on top of that is, once Sunday brunch is done, you're moving into dinner service. So now you got a whole nother menu in the same day it's just I hate Sunday brunch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's just always what it's been.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Like if you compare it to something, it'd be like if you had a hair salon and you did hair all day, then this one day you just did nails or something.
Yeah.
So you had to
but you don't do nails all week.
Yeah.
And you have everything set up for doing hair.
Yeah, now you gotta take out the nail polish.
Take all that stuff out and get rid of all your hair stuff and then fill it in with all the stuff to do nails.
Move
that's
the chairs around.
Yeah, that's brunch. That's brunch for a chef.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the middle of being busy, I mean, now you're dealing with eggs. Sometimes people don't know how to do omelets properly. It's a little bit of a nightmare. Not only that, it's just the prep you got to get that you're only going to use for one day. Like you doing this prep that takes time. Some stuff you got to it may take you 2 days to prep, but you're only going to use it for a couple of, like, it's a lot of energy, and
a lot of crazy
it's just
people.
It makes your kitchen just a little upside down for that day.
Oh, I wish you had that clip. It was like a comedy clip of the server that asks for the omelets with no eggs.
Oh yeah. That's a little clip that's running around
that's funny.
One of the social media.
Because you got to deal with the crazy servers too, on top of the customers.
Yeah, it's crazy people here. Don't get me wrong. Look, it's crazy customers, crazy servers, crazy cooks. We're not discriminating. We're not just saying this crazy. It's just crazy all over the place.
Yeah.
But on top of that, now you're adding a whole different service that is crazy. And I'm pretty sure as a customer, you're not gonna understand. And I get it. I could understand because I'm in the business, and as a customer, I know what's going on behind the kitchen. But you can't tell as a customer going out because I know I like brunch. I like eating brunch.
I think people don't think about the concept of the whole dining area being full and there's people back there cooking for everybody at the same time. They think they're the only person there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't matter where you work, but if all your customers came in at the same time for whatever service you had and you had to service them within an hour, how hard is that?
It's very hard.
It doesn't matter what field you're in. Just think about that.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. This week, the same thing happened. We had a very busy week, and I'm expediting, and I'm also working the station, but I'm not even going to get into that. But I'm expediting, and the screen is like, whatever, 1 or 2 tickets, and in a matter of like 3 minutes, the screen is filled up. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge restaurant, and there's a bunch of sections, so it looks like they sat people in a bunch of different sections, and then the servers got the order. Some servers maybe got 2 tables at the same time, which I hate when they do that. 2 to 3, whatever. And in a matter of between 5 minutes, I had a bunch of tables, probably the equivalent of trying to cook like 80 dishes, all at the same time. And that's at that time, and then you wait another 5 minutes, and then you get another wave. So next thing you know, you have like, 250 plates that you're cooking. And to be fair, it's not one person, it's a bunch of cooks, but they all come in the kitchen. How are you supposed to get all that food out at the same time on top of that?
Yeah.
So you got to cook it at the same time, but you also got to now try to get it out at the same time. It's just...
Well, then people, they come in and they have like a 5 o'clock reservation and take 30 minutes to decide what they want. And then they want their food in 15 minutes because now they've been there for 45 minutes.
Yeah, they'll start counting that time. They'll be like, we've been here. But the first 20 minutes you was trying to figure out what you wanted to eat. Don't count that towards you waiting for the food, but it happened.
Plus, when you have a 5 o'clock reservation, people do this all the time. They'll have a reservation and they take forever to order their food. Now they're into the 5:15 reservation time because it's kind of spread out like that. So the food kind of comes out like spaced out a little bit. But
You try to make, when we, when at our restaurant, we used to spread the reservations out to try to make it that we're not doing that problem of cooking everything at the same time. Yeah. That we're spacing out, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is some space. But sometimes you can't help it. You might get a couple tables early, and you're like, all right, you can get these tables early, And then by the time we get these out, and then the other tables will be putting in their orders. But sometimes you get the table that come in early, and they'll just kind of like, oh, we're here early, and they take their time. And next thing you know, all the other reservations are coming, and next thing you know, bam, all the orders are coming in at the same time, no matter how much you try.
Right.
And they don't necessarily care for that all the orders are coming in at the same time. They don't care. And again, they shouldn't, but it's not even that they care, that they don't understand that, yeah, you just took 20 minutes to place your order. Now the other table, it's just ends up being way more stressful than it should be. Sunday brunch, I think we talked a little bit extra on this, and we went off, I wouldn't say off topic. I think all had to do with it. So let's go to the next one real quick. And it's funny, Anthony Bourdain hated brunch, so I don't feel so bad. That's what, you know, and I do remember him saying, there's a clip that went around that they show him in an interview, and that's one of the things he talked about. Calling in sick is shamed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so early in the morning, and you're like, you can't get no one to cover that shift.
Yeah. It's a lot of, yeah.
You
especially
be there
now.
like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So.
Yeah, it's a bad, this is a bad thing for, I guess, the restaurant industry. You shouldn't be there if you're sick, but it's one of those things that it's just.
Well, it's early, so if you're sick, you're sick.
Yeah, you get sick, you know, if some people, most people, they push through it. But it's, I mean, it's really not the ideal thing. It's not what you want. You don't want somebody sick cooking your food.
You're not supposed to come in if you're sick, technically. That's what the FDA says, right?
Yeah. But it's, you know, we all know in the restaurant business that it does happen. And we, you know, if the person is that sick, we still want them to be, you know, let's just leave it at that. People know. People come in sick, and it's just not.
Because you don't cook in the food, and
you don't want
them getting everybody else sick.
You don't want. Yeah, you don't want the other cook. You don't want a lot of stuff. So it's just one of those things that is not a good practice. And you get calling in. You get shamed. I wouldn't say you get shamed, but I think you get looked at a little bit.
Well, hope they're not lying, but it's like,
So let's just go to the next one. This one is that one is pretty self-explanatory. That's kind of getting called in your day off. Yeah.
Well, that's because the guy was sick from too.
yeah. That's what happens, I guess. You know, this is the chef has his 1 or 2 days off if he's lucky, and somebody calls out sick, and now you got to come into work.
Yeah, they're like, I hate to do this, but
yeah. It's a lot of getting called in. I've had jobs that used to happen a lot, and some jobs just. That's what it is. Situations, locations, whatever you have staff that, whatever, it happens. But after working, whatever, 60 hours, do you want to get called in for another 10-hour shift or 12-hour shift? No. And it happens once in a while. It's not the worst thing. But if it's something that you're doing like every month, it's way too much after a while. There's something wrong with that restaurant or that place that's happening that often.
Well, that's why they're leaving the business, because it happens more common now. Before it was once in a while. Now it's like once a week, maybe twice a week. Some places it happens. I had somebody not show up for Sunday brunch this Sunday that just happened, and he was there the day before. Sunday brunch no sign whatsoever, and I'm just like, the thing is that I've been hearing this a lot. We got into that, but this. You know, my experiences, me talking to other people, this is very, common now. Right. And then you see them the day before, and they were absolutely fine. And then the next day, they were just, they got the flu, and they can't get out of bed.
Well, that's
within the hours, you're like, oh, okay.
That's the good example. I'm talking about people just don't even call. They just don't show up. So you're there waiting, and they see, maybe the person's late, and they just don't show up. And that is something that I've been hearing a lot.
And they have all these crazy excuses.
I've been hearing this a lot from a lot of people that just in general. I'm talking about other restaurants, hotels, whatever, other places that have kitchens. I've been hearing this a lot. People just don't show up. They'll show up. New people, they'll work for a couple of weeks, and then one day you just don't show up.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just going to be something
book
that
of excuses that everyone gets that we don't have, and
yeah,
but we know of it because we're like, we heard this one already. I think and you've used this one already.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've hired,
or we'll be like, that's
someone. But I've hired someone. They work one day, and then the next shift that they're supposed to work, they already have an excuse that they can't come in because some crazy excuse, like I'm talking about, I'm getting pictures in my phone, and it's just like, and I know it's not true, but it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, the person is actually working hard to make sure that their story sounds correct.
Well, the good one is when they tell you the story and then they forget about it. Then they tell you, Saturday I was hanging out at the beach. I was having a good time, and you're like listening. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess he wasn't sick. Or he wasn't sick.
That happens a lot now lately. Yeah. And it's just, I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that a lot.
Right.
And for those that didn't hear, because maybe I was talking too loud, but you want to repeat it? Just say it, because I think I was talking in the beginning when you started saying it. No,
there's those people that tell you that they can't come in because they're sick, and like a few days later, they forget that they told you they were sick, and they called out like on a Saturday or whatever, and then they're telling you a story how Saturday they were out at the beach or somewhere and having a good time,
Oh, yeah. And you're like, oh, that's the day you called out? But you don't say nothing. You just keep that in the back of your mind.
Play along, and you're like, oh, okay, what else did you do?
Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Right.
And sometimes, this is the best one, when they actually put like their family members saying that something bad happened to one of their family members and they couldn't come in, and then next thing you know, you're hearing them talking about that they were at a barbecue that day, and you're just like, oh man,
right.
This happens a lot more. I'm pretty sure it's happened forever, but this seems to be like way more common. I look, before, I don't remember people calling out that much at all, but now it just seems to be a very normal thing. So yeah, getting called in your day off, it's not fun. Okay, you start off in a dish pit. This is something that is this is something that I guess is not fun at all. To start the day, whatever, maybe the shift the night before, the dishwasher never showed up, or maybe he quit in the mid shift, and you coming in, you was probably off, and you come in and you're like, wow, and you walk into This happened. I've seen this. It's happened to me.
I'd be pissed.
It's happened to me, and I've been very pissed. It's discouraging, but you kind of put on a straight face, like this doesn't bother me, but it bothers the shit out of you. But you just got to go through it, and you try to make your phone calls, cover the shift, and get some people. But you end up, washing some dishes to clear it up a little bit.
That's the problem. You got to do every job. Yeah.
Yes. That's the one thing, too, that if you don't understand, I've been in situations that people want you to fix a problem in their kitchen that is not very good. And it's a problem that you probably need a little bit more help or whatever, or what it's going to take to fix this problem. So maybe if I fix this problem, I'm going to be here way too many hours. If I fix it the way they want me to fix it, let's just say that. Because there's ways to fix problems that won't stress the chef out as much or won't put such a toll on a chef. But sometimes it's just the options are not the good options. And yeah, it's just, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah.
Definitely picking up the slack a lot.
Yeah. Chefs got to be able to do every single job. Besides cooks, a dishwasher, whatever. I run food when I had to. The kitchen gets overwhelmed, and I got food dying. I push food out. You got to do or be able or willing to get your hands dirty in every single job in the restaurant, or at least in the kitchen. Yeah, it is what it is. No set hours, and that's one of the things that I think gets most people.
Yeah, because then you don't have a work-life balance. So.
Yeah. That was always one of my main things when I was in this business.
Yeah, can't do nothing, can't go to functions,
I'm still
family
in the business,
functions.
But yeah.
You got kids, it's hard to work with their schedule.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean,
the divorce rate's high because of that too, right?
Yes. So. Yeah, it just takes a toll.
Yeah.
Like I remember one of my first jobs that I had for work-life balance. The restaurant's not here anymore, so I can say it. Big Fish in Princeton, New Jersey. That job, when I first started, I was averaging close to 90 hours a week, and it was not fun. It was not fun. And it was my first move into New Jersey, and that was like the first, job I had in New Jersey, and yeah, it was not fun. It was not fun. I was very young, so I was naive, and I didn't. But even then, it was to this day I'll never forget. It was way too many hours, way too many hours. Some weeks I worked over 100 hours. It was not. It was me being stupid. It was just me being stupid. I look back at that job as easily one of the worst jobs I've ever had in this business. I don't know if I made it through that. It's like everything else is piece of cake, and it was more of like the quality of life was bad. Yeah. And I was there for a couple of years. That's the sad part. That's how, whatever. I convinced myself that whatever. It was not bad. It was not good.
Tired that on your days off you just sleep and relax.
Yeah,
because you don't have energy to do anything else.
I felt like I lost a couple of years of my life. As bad as it sounds, it really was. It was just so yeah. But that was bad management. I was a sous chef at that point, so I was taking orders from general manager and the executive chef. And the one thing I learned there was not to do what they did. That's kind of one of the things. I mean, they did a lot of stuff that was right, but as far as that kind of stuff, the way they managed the other management staff, like general manager and executive chef, the way they managed all their subordinates, and it was just not good. And there's other stuff that happened, and whatever. But yeah, that job, I'm not afraid to say the name of that place. That place, yeah, it was my experience. I can tell you, it was horrible. Closing down the kitchen, yes. So yeah, you work 12, 13 hours in the day, and then now you got to clean the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
And so it's supposed to look like that picture. You got to rinse it and scrub it down and scrub the floors and all that stuff.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. A lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And
imagine cooking dinner at night and then scrubbing the whole kitchen before you go to bed. Like, who wants to do that?
And sometimes it's not so bad when you have enough people, but sometimes if you're closing with a small staff, you got a kitchen to clean, it is it's daunting. It's daunting, it's discouraging, it's tiring. It's just like, I just want to go home now. But now I got to spend another 45 minutes just cleaning. And what's the best if you got a table at the very end? Which it happened to me. It happened to me yesterday.
Yeah, don't do that. And if the restaurant closes at 10 o'clock, don't come in at 9:45.
Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to say that, but
don't come in at 9:30 either. Don't do that either.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do
take out. Just,
be, understand what you're doing. That's all. Like, I had a table come in, and this past yesterday. What am I talking about? It was yesterday. It came in like 20 minutes before we closed. They got their orders in pretty quickly, but the weather was really bad, and they did not want to leave. So we actually ended up cleaning the whole kitchen, but they were still in the restaurant. And this is like almost 40 minutes after the restaurant was closed, and they had eaten already. They already got their check, but they did not want to leave.
Yeah,
because it was raining outside hard.
Kick people out like everybody else do. Like, if you're at the ball, they kick them out. They're like,
if you try to, because it doesn't matter how nicely you try to or polite you tell someone, the kitchen's closed and we're closing down.
You give them the check, they pay.
And the check, they will take it negatively for some weird reason. That's why people have let it happen, because people just get really
everybody's
defensive.
Just waiting for you to leave so everybody else can go home.
Yeah, but and many people, they know that it happened to us in our restaurant many times. This is not the physical toll, and that's a very, very true.
Right.
I'm feeling it.
Well, especially when you get older and you're in this profession, like when you get into your 40s, 50s, and 60s, like, you can't stand up all day and work crazy hours.
But even if you're standing up all day, even if you could do it, it's just not good to stand up all day It's just not good. It's just the same way if it's not good for you to sit down all day. It's not necessarily good. It's a lot of pressure on your legs, on your feet. And me, like I'm a pretty big guy. It's a lot of weight on my feet that over these years I've noticed it more and more. I'm still able to do it, but I could see it's just not, it's a physical toll. My feet.
Toll and stress.
Yeah.
Maybe you should take a poll and see how many chefs lost their hair.
Lost their hair? Yeah. I think I started losing my hair at that job. That's what it was. Fucking big fish. That job was horrible. All right, no benefits. That is a big problem. And that is a big problem. And that kind of speaks for itself. Yeah. There's no benefit. Most restaurants don't have benefits, or major benefits. Yeah. So.
Oh, well, here's the thing. First of all, if you go to culinary school, they're expensive. You might spend $20,000 for 2 years.
$20,000 a year now.
Yeah, who knows what it is now. And you get out and the pay is not too high. And then you get a job that has no health care. And now you got to pay health care on top of that.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to travel 35, 40 minutes to work, right?
Yeah.
It gets expensive.
It gets very expensive.
So then you're thinking, why am I in this profession?
Yeah, why did I invest?
Yeah.
All this time and money on myself for this business. It's a tough. That's why I say it's like.
There's no benefits. You have to have something. Yeah, you got to have something.
Yeah. It's one of those things. If you want to do this business, you really got to have a passion for it.
You got to offer something, yeah.
Because there is a lot of stuff that is, it rubs people the wrong way, and rightly so, some of them. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. All right, let's see what the other one before. Holidays are the worst. Yes. Look. I get it. I got into this business and I understood that for people, we are the people that cook for the people and have, we help people celebrate their big days, including some holidays. But I always thought about there is holidays for the restaurant that make sense, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, all those stuff. But holidays Christmas and it's it is something about that. Almost restaurants in general, most restaurants, they'll stay open for every single holiday, and you can look at it I was having this conversation with someone else. You can look at it both ways. Why are the restaurants staying open? And what did I say? That's the first thing people tell me.
Money, yeah.
People tell me, well, why are they open? And it's well.
Because you come.
Because people come. Why are people going to the restaurants on the holiday? It's you can look at it both ways. They're open because people are coming. If people were not coming, they wouldn't be open. Yeah. But yes, they are open. Yes. And our restaurant, we closed because it was just I didn't open up a restaurant, so I just didn't have a life. So I didn't make sure. In the days that we did open, it would be half a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then people would ask us. So as much as you want to say, well, why are you guys open? Because people go to the restaurants. If you work in a restaurant, they're most likely going to be open because they either stayed open one day and one holiday, and people showed up. Some places, those days end up being extremely busy. Days that you would never assume. That it's usually days that you would spend with your family.
Yeah, they should double the price on Christmas. Whatever their entrees cost, it should be double.
Yeah. Yeah, but. I don't. Nobody's gonna agree to that, and I know they're still gonna show up. They're just gonna complain.
Yeah, they can come. It's pay double.
Yeah, it should. But that's the whole. That's again self-explanatory. That's one of those things. Split shifts. I let you.
What?
Split shifts. Let you start that one. That's I guess if somebody. But I think what they mean is this is not really for chefs. This is more for your cooks and your servers and all that. Because it's saying this is 12 reasons why chefs are leaving the kitchen for good. Mm-hmm. Split shifts this really has nothing to do with chefs. Chefs they just work all day. They come into the kitchen. They're not splitting a shift. They're working from the time they come in all the way to whatever they're scheduled to leave.
It's usually at least 10-hour days.
Yeah.
At least.
But I think they mean split shifts, people are, somebody comes in from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then they have a break and they come back at 5. You close. Which that would make, yeah, that's I don't know. That's definitely not ideal. I would be pissed off to have a 2-hour break. I worked in places that did that, but it was more like country clubs and stuff like that I lived in the place, so it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever had a split shift. Where I lived at the damn restaurant, it was a country club, and I lived there. And
yeah, I've never done that. So.
Yeah, this is not there are places that do it, but it's not the biggest practice. Wouldn't be the biggest thing. I mean, if you had bad luck, if you were a chef, that this is all every job they had split shifts.
Yeah.
I've only did it when I started off, and it was because a place like that. And that was it. Toxic environments. And of course, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Oh, the chef is toxic.
When the chef is toxic, or the restaurant man, whatever. Sometimes it could be your own employees that you're working with. So, right. I mean, I know it is what it is. Nobody wants to work. This really is nothing to do with the kitchen. This is just in general. Nobody wants to work with in a toxic place. Nobody does. I know that a lot of the shows, they show, like, chefs are just complete assholes and just cursing and doing all this. And yeah, don't get me wrong. When I first started, there was some truth to that. When I first started, this is a long time ago, before I became a chef. When I was a cook, I had a couple chefs that were, I guess you want to call it old school, whatever. But I never had any problem with them. I mean, I had chefs that made people cry, and I never had a problem with them. I think a lot of it had to do, they would just, I don't want to be insensitive, but if you were not holding your weight, I mean, you're almost like, right, they say you're as strong as your weakest link. Sometimes the weakest link gets a little bit more.
Yeah.
I didn't get it for the most part. Yeah. If I did a mistake, they told me I just didn't make that mistake again. But that was, I don't know. All right, let's see another one. Drug abuse.
Oh, yeah, everybody's using drugs now. Well, no, not drugs.
You said everybody's using drugs now. I think everybody's, well, not everybody. Many people.
Maybe weed, that's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, because it's legal over here. But
high. I had a few people tell me that. They're like, yeah, go out to smoke weed and come back to work.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that making that legal backfires in some way. I have nothing against that at all. But like alcohol, it was not meant to be used at work. That's my whole thing that I noticed.
Let people make their own rules. And
it's hard, it's one of those things, it's hard to prove, but you can tell. You can tell, but you can't necessarily prove it.
They're high all the time. You think that's just their personality. So.
That is true. Yeah. With all those, the reputation that there is, there is drug abuse in the restaurant business. I myself, when I was a general manager at one of the restaurants, I mean, even I can give you an example. One of my first jobs as a cook, it was, and I was working in a very popular hotel in New York, and I was doing an overnight shift because it was New Year's Eve. And I went to use the bathroom, and as soon as I walk in the bathroom, I guess since it was, it was probably 3 o'clock in the morning, the cook I was working with was doing coke right there. And the first thing, he just looked at me and was like, "Oh, do you want some?" And I was just like, "I'm okay." But yeah, he was celebrating right at work. So this was when I first started. So yeah, there is. And over the years, there's been other instances. Alcohol is probably the number one. Now it's probably weed, with it being, or weed is close second. It might be actually number first. I don't know. But those two are very, very big.
Yeah, you can't function too well.
Yeah.
Either way.
Or some people are they can function, function very well with that. And I'm not trying to promote that at all, but it's just some people.
I think they think they're functioning.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit better. And the same thing. I worked as a general manager, chef / general manager, and I remember going into the bathroom after someone had used the bathroom and they forgot their cocaine on top of it was like a shelf over there. And so yes, it happens. It happens. I'm pretty sure it happens in all the businesses. Of course, the restaurant business is a very stressful business. So yeah, it does happen a little bit more. I could probably say that. And that's just, I guess there's been studies about it. And yeah, it does seem to show that there is a pretty high. And actually, let me look at another one real quick. According to the American Addiction Center, facts and figures about substance use in the food service industry. So 1 in 5 amount of food service workers who use drugs and alcohol multiple times a week outside of work. 31% amount of food service workers who never use drugs and alcohol. So only 31% of service workers never use drugs and alcohol.
Never use.
That's what. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually not bad.
Like use it at work.
I don't know. I think
they must be at work. I can't find 31% don't even drink alcohol outside of work.
That's what I'm saying. This doesn't sound bad at all.
No, it must be at work.
Oh, you really have low expectations. Ah, man. But yeah, well, I don't know. They say never use drugs or alcohol. Let's just say at work. So
it has to be.
Well, very, very. All right. Percentage of food workers that have been inebriated for entire work shift at least once is almost 13%. So which is technically not the worst. I'm pretty sure you could find similar numbers in other industries too. How many food service workers consider casual substance use to be a part of their work culture? 40%.
Yeah. Which,
yeah, that's pretty high. And I can see why. Because, yeah, I can see very much. And a substance can mean anything. Most likely is alcohol because, I think everybody in this business is one of those things that when I was coming up in this business, at the end of a shift, it was very, very, not at the end of every shift, but at the end of those really, beating, beat down shifts, that they would give you some alcohol as you were cleaning the kitchen. It was just kind of those, and you look forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah. You look forward to it because after working whatever hours, and I'm talking about like the cooks and stuff, yeah, you look forward to having that drink at the end of the day. It was what it was. So 3 in 10. Number of food service workers who were caught using illicit substances at work and reported no repercussions. Yeah. So less than 1 in 5 reported getting fired after being caught. Yeah. Yeah. So I get that's kind of telling you that is somewhat part of the culture. So, yeah, that was just some examples. We're gonna split this into 2 parts as this was. So, look, if you made it this far in this second part, subscribe, leave your comments below, leave me your experiences for. If you've been in this business for whatever amount of time, put down how long and
why you're leaving.
Why you're leaving, or why you left, or why you think of leaving.
Did you say why you think they're leaving?
Why?
Why you think people are leaving?
Oh, did I say?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said. I don't think we said, huh? Yeah. I
think it's work-life balance and the pay.
Yeah, the pay is something that is yeah, the pay is always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a problem. You work a lot of hours and being compensated is one of those things that
because if you're trying to sell the profession and be like, you want to be a chef and work all these hours and work every holiday, every weekend, and be stressed out and hot in the kitchen, and you may or may not become a drug addict and alcoholic. I don't know. It doesn't sound good. Like it's something that I'd be like, I don't think I want to do this.
Yeah, the way you're saying that, it doesn't convince me.
Yeah. Our kids, one of them went to be like a chef, and I was like, absolutely not. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff you can do with food, but a chef,
Yeah,
no.
that's exactly what I told them. I told them, I said, you don't want to do it.
Like,
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I said, don't do it. Do something else.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
It's a toll on your body, and it's just,
Yeah.
then you start to have a family, and you don't spend time with your family, and not just your immediate family, just
And friends,
you
everything.
miss a lot of stuff.
I've lost a lot of friends, I think, over this business just because you don't see them. I just don't see them. You try to keep in touch with people. It's just
'cause you have to like work these weekends and holidays to move up in the business anyway. You have to do all this stuff that nobody wants to do to even get noticed. And then they're like, oh yeah, he's a good worker. They're reliable, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
this business is, and over the years, it's gotten to the point.
Yeah, God forbid you want to like. Well, I always say that. Like, they always have people picketing the bus drivers, the teachers, because they want more pay and they're complaining about their work conditions. I'm like, you never see like our industry doing that, and they should.
Well, with that being said, I did notice now the fast food workers, they've been striking and all this stuff lately. The fast food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave that alone.
I've never worked in fast food. So
Yeah.
I don't know how their work conditions are.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know.
Because they
either.
just, everything comes in frozen and they're not,
It's a different world.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different world, fast food world, and I get it. It's a different
Mm-hmm.
type of people. Most of the people working in fast food are very young.
Yeah.
A lot of them in high school and stuff like that, and nothing. But it's just a lot of the jobs in fast food are supposed to be meant entry level. So it's a different world. You go to like and I don't want to say like in a negative way, but like you go to like a regular restaurant. A lot of the people that are going to the regular restaurants, they're trying to make it a career. Not a lot, but there are people that are trying to make it into a career. Unlike the high school students that maybe got a job at the fast food hamburger place. But yeah, but it seems to be like even like the big coffee chains, they're doing strikes. They're doing all this stuff. This all happened a lot in the last couple of years. It is what it is. I don't know what to say. I mean, I do know what to say, but I'll keep my opinions to myself with that because it can go either way. I have a lot of opinions that it would be more of a discussion that I would have to have with someone.
I think it all comes down to the person.
Yeah.
You can work very hard. Doesn't matter what job you have.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is very true. Oh no, you see, that's why I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into that. You already said you can work very hard. Like I'm trying to imply that they're not working hard. I know that's what you're saying, but that's why I am. It's one of those discussions that people are having strikes that I can say something and it could be, I guess, interpreted negatively.
Yeah.
Because I'm just being honest. I haven't worked in fast food. I don't know. So I'm just saying.
Interpretation of like hard work is different from, I think, our interpretation of hard work.
Yeah. Or a lot of it, they'll just tell you.
So that's why you would have to ask, like, well, what are you doing at work?
Yeah. No, that is true.
Yeah.
People will say, oh, it's because you're older. That's why you think. And it's just like, no, there is hard work and there is just working.
Yeah.
In every business. And I'm talking about every business. Some businesses, hard work is part of the business.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily, and if you change the business to fit your needs because you feel your needs is the way that the business should run, it's not going to most likely help everybody else.
Well, yeah, I noticed that people wanted to kind of be like it's an office job, have office hours, and have like a 30-minute break and 2 15-minutes. And they went holidays, they're shocked. They're like, oh, I got to work on the holidays. It's like, yeah, I got to work on the holidays. We are open. Yeah. And that's the busiest time.
Yeah. And again,
it's like, how do you not know
don't
that?
like it. Working the holidays either, but if you go into the business, if you're working whatever, if you're working as a summer job, whatever job, or just whatever, that's the business. You are going to be open.
Busy and the holidays are busy.
Yeah, holidays are very busy.
Yeah.
And some of the weird ones too. The ones that you would not expect. I wouldn't say weird, but some of the ones that you would expect that nobody would necessarily go out.
Mm-hmm.
They're busy sometimes. It's just it's the nature of this beast. Whatever. I don't even. Yeah. But yeah, I think people are leaving. You say quality of life. I say quality of life. I think if you want to say people are leaving now more than before, I would say it's definitely quality of life. But the quality of life has gotten so much worse over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because all these extra challenges on top of just the everyday restaurant challenges that you're dealing with, it's almost like they're on drugs.
Yeah.
Like all these problems are on drugs.
Yeah. Well, now that we're both managers, I think that, when you're younger, you put in the work, you put in the time, and then you think once you get to the manager stage, you won't have to do as much, and you'll do
I wouldn't say not do as much, but
not as much as we're doing now. So now it's like for like a manager or executive chef, whatever, you're still doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Compared to I think before.
Yeah. No.
So now you're
doing more. But I'm doing.
Now we're a worker / manager chef.
Yeah.
And so if everyone's doing that, I talk to a lot of people, they're like, screw this.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like,
and I think a lot of it has to do because the last couple of years, because I've been executive chef, that I was an executive chef, and I did executive chef work. Mm-hmm. I would make sure the food was out, the recipe, innovation, recipe, training, setting up the line like for the menu, training staff, and making sure the quality of food that was going out or improving quality of food, doing a bunch of other projects to make sure the kitchen ran as efficiently as possible. But now I'm trying to do that, but I'm also doing hourly work too at the same time while I'm trying to balance doing my other stuff and do menus and do all of the executive chef stuff, but also doing the job of 2 hourly employees. So that's not the ideal situation. It's just kind of,
because usually that stuff is temporary or something but now this is a constant thing, a normal thing. And then you sit down and do the math, because mostly you're getting paid salary, right? So you sit down, let me do the math. I'm working 10, 12 hours a day sometimes, 5, 6 days a week. I'm getting paid $22 an hour.
Yeah, if you're lucky, right?
Right.
You don't know what you're making,
And that's even more annoying. It's just nuts.
So I'm making less money now. My cooks are making more.
Yeah.
Some of my cooks are making more because they get paid hourly, and I'm just here working a ton of hours, doing some of their job and then doing my job.
And all that stuff. Yeah.
So that is the reason why I think people are leaving so much now. That's my final thought with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So again, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Leave your comments as far as, your experience in the business. If you left, you're leaving. All right. Peace. Later.